We're joined today by Nathaniel Allen from Panther Men's Swimming. Nathaniel, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
So what's your major at Florida Tech and why did you choose it? Is it something that you've always wanted to do?
I'm studying psychology with a concentration in neuropsychology. And to me, psychology is like the science of exploring questions we once thought only philosophy could talk about, and making that bridge from purely conjecture and logical argument into a science, and then particularly for me, adding in neuroscience in a real hard science in that way is something that is just so fascinating to me, and it's such a new field. We're asking and getting answers for questions that we thought would never be possible to get. And then especially here at a school where everyone is so interested in what's out in space and what's around us out that way, which I think is fascinating. It's such a unique place to be studying what's in here instead.
So growing up in Houston, what was it about Florida Tech that drew you here?
So as an athlete, I came on a recruiting trip, and whenever I met my teammates here and I met the coaching staff and I walked around the campus, it pretty clearly felt like home. And it was pretty hard to sway that decision as I went to other schools to visit.
How do you plan to use your degree after graduation?
I'm planning on pursuing a doctorate so I can further my own research, whether that lands me in the private sector or I stay in academia and work as a professor somewhere. I don't have a firm decision, but as long as I'm continuing my own education through my research, I will be happy.
Obviously, what you do is different from other classes where you have labs and experiments and things like that. So what are some of the things that you've done in classes here at Florida Tech that you've really enjoyed?
Well, I love writing, and one of the requirements for your higher level psychology courses are, comprehensive papers on a topic typically of your choosing within the, course topic, of course. So the opportunity to really dive into recent literature within those fields, in those specialties, and become, a little bit closer to an expert within that specific range is something that I've greatly appreciated, and has taken me down rabbit holes that I thought I would never have gone down before, and really, for my own edification, is such a fascinating and pleasurable experience.
How do you keep everything balanced once the season starts? Because I know you guys have early practices right at sunrise, and you've got road trips and stuff, and it's an intense schedule. How do you make everything work for you?
So the coaching staff and professors all understand that you're trying to walk this fine line and keep this balance. And while of course it is unimaginably difficult when you get to the middle of the season and those mornings are lining up and you're just exhausted mentally and physically, there's so much support around you, both from the coaching staff and professors, like I said, but also your teammates are going through it with you. So there's always somebody to talk to if you need to. The professors understand if you are going to be out for a meet or something like that. Coaches understand if you have to miss because you have to do a meeting for your research team, things like that. That everything is there available to you to make the balance work.
How has being a collegiate athlete prepared you for all of this now? And do you feel like there's any lessons that you've learned from the pool that help you in your studies?
Of course. So being a collegiate athlete generally, and then I think especially for swimming, teaches such an intense form of discipline, where even if I find myself slipping behind in some things or one class or another, I'm so used to having to juggle so many things at once that being able to toss one thing up a little bit higher so I can catch the balls that we're about to drop, to run with that metaphor, is something that I have so much practice with at this point that I think once I graduate and I go on to further my own education and get into research, I can't see it being any different. I'm sure it'll be different in some aspects, but as far as the management skills that I've learned through doing swimming here and before, it's prepared me.
What advice would you give to an athlete that would be coming to Florida Tech and might be looking at neuropsychology?
I think this is important for anybody, but do your best to be certain of what you want to do, but don't hold on to it too tightly. I came in as biomedical engineering, and whenever COVID hit and things started switching around and I had time to really think about what I was doing, as much as I found biomedical engineering fascinating, I realized that I had a real passionate love for psychology and I wanted to transfer into that. And it wasn't an impossible choice to make, and it wasn't too difficult of a situation to switch into, but having an idea of where you might want to go is, I think, super important. And then once you get here, making an effort to communicate with your professors and talk to them and get to know them personally. I maybe presumptuously like to consider my professors my friends, And so I talk to them, somewhat casually about things outside of the classroom. Maybe I'm just talking to them about what I'm reading on my own, or they're recommending things for me to read. That's how I got into a research lab that I'm working in, and then also how I got my advisor to do my thesis. So making use of the professors available to you, especially at a small school like this, is I think the most important thing you can do here.
And we'll wrap it up with this. The 22-23 season, just about a month away from starting it. How do you feel about the team, and what are you looking forward to the most?
So with my senior season and the team being bigger than it's ever been before, I am nothing but excited to see where we go here. I think we're kind of in uncharted waters with how young the team is and how much potential we have here, and being in such a competitive division and conference in particular. I think the competition will be amazing. I think we have so much growth ahead of us in just this season alone. I'm really excited to see where it takes us.
Nathaniel, we thank you for joining us, and good luck this season.
Thank you.